Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have the State Secretary in charge of sports closes the second edition of the summer sports competition in Ali Sabih. For the international scene, new images of Jupiter revealed by the James Webb Telescope. Welcome to our newsroom. Under the aegis of the State Secretary in charge of sports, the second edition of the various sports competition and traditional games was concluded last Monday in Ali Sabih. The final of the football tournament ended with a penalty shootout with a score of 5-4 for the team of the large district of Chateau d'Eau, which beat the team of Ferrada. At the beginning of the evening, the trophy and medals were given to the teams that won the collective sports activity and the individuals who shone in the meetings of traditional games. Note that like sports tournament, competitions on traditional games were held through the country at the instigations of the Secretary of State for Sports, which intend to revitalize the favorite pastimes of our ancestors. The Secretary of State in charge of sports, Hassan Mohammed Kamil, accompanied by his main collaborators in the presence of the President of the Regional Council, the Regional Sub-Director of the State Secretary in charge of sports, attend the finals of the football tournament, closing the multiple sports competition and traditional games of the summer season. For his part, the Secretary of State for Sports, Hassan Mohammed Kamil, intends to preserve and promote this wealth. The minister supports the association is organizing the event, integrating the practices of traditional sports game. The ceremonial room of the National Gendarmerie headquarters at the Captain Hamadou Barracks hosted today a ceremony to award the stripes, diploma and badges to the 11 officers of the class of 2019-2021, 11 officers of the class of judicial police officers chaired by the Prosecutor General Mr. Jama' Suleiman Ali. The event was attended by Ms. Leila Muhammad Ali, Deputy Prosecutor General, Colonel Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, Colonel Zakaria Hassan Aden, Chief of the National Gendarmerie, and several officers of the Gendarmerie. The ceremony started with the reading of the verses from the Holy Quran, followed by the promotions of the results and the awarding of stripes, diploma, and badges of OPG to the recipient. The trainees of the promotions received their diploma and badges from the hands of the officials present at the scene. After the speeches, the officials posed with the recipient for the traditional family photo. For his part, Colonel Zakaria Hassan Aden, Chief of the Staff of the National Gendarmerie, said in his speech that this promotion of judicial police officers began this training in September 2019 with the strength of 11 trainees with a rigorous selection. Our institution has always put a point of honor to the quality of trainings of judicial police, which is why we want to select that the best way to have more promotions has a reduced number of staff. Showcase of our beautiful weapon, the judicial grouping must rely on instigators, professionals, disciplined, well-trained, and irreproachable on all the plane. Dear recipient, I would like to remind you that the obtaining of a diploma of OPG confers immense powers, authorizing us to interpolate, keep in sight our fellow citizens. Justiciable has carried out searches in their residence, has carried out seizures before their presentation to the public prosecutor. As soon as you have this authorization, you will be immediately employed in the territorial brigade for which you have been trained. The consequences of these misused authorizations can be particularly serious. I urge each of you to assign the value and ethics of Models Brigadier and to use wisely the power attached to this qualification. On his side, the General Prosecutor Jama' Suleiman Ali held a speech. He said, I join this wish by welcoming them with joy in the judicial family. Now that you are officers of the judicial police, you are going to take an oath by swearing to bring your wealth to justice with probity and diligence, and to observe in all circumstances the duty that your office imposes you. Among these duties, I would like to insist on one of them, that it is often the case that I give you some advice. I insist on a subject of general interest when we meet. I would like today to insist on one of your duties which weighs on you as judicial police officers, but which also weighs on us as magistrates. Ladies and gentlemen, the criminal investigations and the instructions are secret. The Djiboutian criminal law imposes the obligation to us as a professional instigators, officers of judicial police, as a magistrate, prosecutor, judge, lawyer, bailiff, clerk. We have the obligation to respect the professional secret. The Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, and the Government of Djibouti Ministry of Education is convened on a two-day consultation meeting on Djibouti's National Education Response Plan for the implementation of the Djibouti Declarations on Education for Refugees, Returnees, and Host Communities. In his welcoming remarks, speaking on behalf of the IGAD Executive Secretary, Dr. Werkene Gebeyu, and Ms. Fathia Alwan, Directors of Health and Social Development, Dr. Kebede Kassa, IGAD's Senior Programs Coordinator for Education, Science, Technology, Innovation, revealed that IGAD has received a request from the Government of Djibouti, the Ministry of Education, to co-organize a ministerial conference in December 2022 to address the issue of school dropout rates in the region. In addition, the Senior Programs Coordinator emphasized that IGAD and partners have supported the development and implementation of the Djibouti Declaration. The Secretary of State in charge of sports gathered this afternoon all the best players who have distinguished themselves during the summer games in the various disciplines and traditional games, including the Burda, organized in the framework of Summer Games 2022. The activities of traditional board games enter the final phase in Djibouti City. Thus, the competitions took place this afternoon in the three communes of the capital in a warm and friendly atmosphere. Several officials of the State Secretariat for Sport participate in the event alongside the leaders of the districts. As a reminder, the best of these competitions will meet in the final. In these competitions will meet in the final with those of the regions. It is still the rainy season of Karma. According to the information of rainfall are reported on the whole countries as well as the capital. Dust showers have fallen in the capitals and the interior regions. The rainwaters of some popular neighborhoods and on the main roads of the capital. The institutions in charge of management and sanitation this morning, the Wadi of Humbuli flowed and caused the stop of the road traffic, especially on the sides of EDD Palma Grove. The traffic officers were on duty to prohibit the crossings of the Wadi. All road traffic was diverted at the levels of the point of Italy. The authorities of the commune of Bulaus proceeded to an inspection of the situation of the districts of capital. As part of the action plan for the remaining 4 months of the year 2022 and to strengthen the actions and give more strength to the multiple demands of the constituent, the local elected officials of the first district and the members of the neighborhood councils have had this morning's a broad consultation. The actions to be undertaken are enormous since they are about the census of fallen streets and alleys, the defective manholes, the vehicles that have become wrecked, but also the leaks of drinking water, the security and fight against narcotics, as well as the registrations on the electoral list were evoked during a meeting that took place in the first district. For his part, the sub-prefect of the first district, Abdi Hassan, explains that the background of this meeting. He indicated that the actions to be undertaken are enormous since they are about the census of fallen streets and alleys, the defective manholes, the vehicles that have become wrecked, but also the leaks of the drinking water. In recent years, the Republic of Djibouti has expanded the city, has urbanized. The appearance of new buildings has allowed a good management of the space, both balanced and more modern, while redefining the space and land use. Listen for more detail in this magazine.
If it was once necessary to go shopping in cities in large stores, today new consumers follow the trend of latest new of the e-commerce sites and especially pages of social network, including Facebook, Instagram, and others. A trend that is experiencing a sharp increase in Djibouti. They are increasingly numerous and diversified, and they offer consumers the opportunity to choose these items, then paid once delivered without moving to do their shopping. Shopping online has become a habit among Djiboutians, a trend increasingly supported today with the emergence of technological innovations and internet. This is the case. Suad, employee, married and have 3 children who no longer had time to deal with all these. It is once connected that she does the researches. She said there are many women and young girls who shop on different pages of a social network, whether Facebook, Instagram, which is now a tool for brands and companies that wants to research and any audience. Thanks to this, young Djiboutians have become entrepreneurs. Many having completed university studies have preferred to follow this path and be their own boss, having as signed photos of items put on sale or with the number of a contact that using social network as a showcase for sales. Once customers are interested, exchanges are made privately through message. For more information, it is a real redefinition of a time and space. The customer can consult anytime, write or contact the sellers who receive notification on this phone. Ifrah, who works in commerce, tells us how technology is changing the game. With the advent of technological innovation, internet penetration has increased due to wide expansions of smartphones and mobile devices. Today, it is no secret that online retailing has grown in recent years. Several factors contribute to this growth: a young population who are real consumers, young entrepreneurs have sniff out and approach Facebook to the new systems for any startup. This is the case of Hisham, who created his startup Brico Coeur. on the Facebook platform, a startup that makes personalized gifts according to everyone's budget, a name that has gained notoriety among all.
We have learned the death of the late Fathiya Yunus Abu Abdullahi on Tuesday, July 23, 2022, after a long illness. Born on 1st January 1960, the late Fathiya Yunus leaves behind her 4 children. The deceased was the grandmother of our colleague cameraman Araksan Yassin Mahamoud. We send our sincere condolences to her family and relatives and wish that the Almighty welcome her in His eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. For the international scene, health government confirms Ebola case in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Listen to this report.
Government of Democratic Republic of Congo has confirmed a new case of Ebola virus disease in the east of the country, which health authorities had been investigating since last week. The sample taken from the sick person's 46-year-old woman who died on August 15 in the health zone of Beni tested positive of the EVD in Beni and was then confirmed at the National Institute for Biomedical Research's laboratory in Goma, the provincial capital. The Ministry of Health said in a statement that August 21 and released late Monday evening. The sequencing has also shown that this case was linked to an strain of the 10th epidemic of 2018 and not to a new introduction of the virus. The text added, assuring that the team are already working on the ground to carry out response activities. About 160 contact cases have been identified so far, the ministry said.
To close up this edition, astronomy, new images of Jupiter revealed by James Webb Telescope. Listen to Kasra Ali.
NASA has unveiled spectacular images of Jupiter taken by the James Webb. In this picture taken last July, the planets appear with the aurora borealis and the meridional light phenomenon generated by solar storms at its 2 poles and swirling polar hazes. On these new images of Jupiter from the James Webb, it is also possible to distinguish its rings faintly luminous and 2 of its moons, the Almaty and Adrasti. The inverse images have been colored in blue, white, and green, yellow, and orange by NASA in order to highlight the smallest details of the planets. A few weeks after having distinguished itself by publishing the deepest and clearest infrared images ever taken of the universe.
This is it for the news. Thanks for watching us. Have a good evening.